Is the Mothman a bearer of doom? And did he make a bridge collapse in the 60s? Is he an alien, cryptid, or a human from the future? And lastly, where did he come from? And where did he go? Today we test the believability of the Mothman.
Welcome to Believing the Bizarre,
where we dive into the unknown and the unusual
and tell you whether or not we find it believable.
Tyler.
Yeah, I'm Tyler.
Yeah, it's Tyler. I am Charlie. Thank you for joining us. So you and we're going to go down just over the border to Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
So this always happens to me. So is Point Pleasant?
Yes.
And what is that 70s show?
Point Place?
Okay.
Is that right?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, God.
That was a legitimate question.
I think it's Point Place.
I always got them confused. I'm like, okay, Eric Foreman's in one, and Mothman's in the other.
John Keel and Men in Black, but that's later.
And the dude from Remember the Titans, the coach.
He doesn't put his hand up in the sky and say, "We remember the Titans." What does he say? I don't remember.
Oh, I don't know.
Is there a line from that movie?
It's been a minute.
Okay. So the Mothman. This is a big one.
I know you have a lot of pressure on you. A lot of people reached out and said they wanted the Mothman.
Woo!
And Charlie's like, I can take it.
Well, I feel ready for it. In December of 1967, the Silver Bridge collapsed into the Ohio River, and moments before, a humanoid figure was seen on top of that very bridge.
We don't own that in Ohio. You know what I mean? It might be the Ohio River, but that's West Virginia's tragedy. We don't take that.
I know. You know what's actually really weird? I wanted to make sure I hit this. I always felt not defensive, but possessive of the Mothman, because West Virginia claims it. I'm like, but that's not really fair.
You want the Mothman, but they can take the tragedy.
Yes.
Or are you willing to take both?
I'm willing to take both, I guess. I feel like it was
all
more
or nothing,
us
right?
Anyway.
Was it on our side? We were like, OH, and then
I mean, it's a border.
Okay.
So it's kind of shared.
I will never be good at geography.
I just don't think it's fair that West Virginia gets the whole thing.
Okay, we get half. We get the wings.
Yeah.
And the eyes.
You better send those over. Because there's a statue.
Yes, there is.
I want the wings and the eyes off the statue.
All right, ship them over. First class.
We're going to get more into the tragedy in a little bit. Because ultimately it is sad.
Yeah, I know. We're making light of it, but it is a sad thing.
So what is Mothman? Do you know what he is? But let's go into it.
Yeah, he's like a 90s movie with Richard Gere.
Yes, that is Mothman Prophecies. But the actual story begins in 1966. The Mothman is described as 3 different colors. So,
I wouldn't see any of them because I'm colorblind, so that's fine.
Well, it's not like he's red or blue.
For me, it's he's either red or green. Have fun picking.
No, it's either brown, black, or white.
That's what they should do with those dot tests, where you have to see, you know what I mean? If you see it, you see an 8, but I only see a 3 because I'm colorblind. They should do one where it's what do you see? I don't see anything. Well, we see the Mothman.
In the beginning of a video game, where they're the lightness level.
No, have you ever done one of those tests where it's just a bunch of dots, and if you're colorblind, you don't see the full number? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah. I've always seen the number.
So for you, it's not a game.
Right.
For me, it's very challenging.
Oh, no, that's sad. So the Mothman is either color those 3 colors, but he's always described as having a very large head, insect-like, and also those big red eyes are his signature.
Right.
Yeah.
I, for some reason, keep picturing Jeepers Creepers in my head. I know that's not right. I'm just being very honest with you.
I saw that movie one time on Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
It scared the shit out of me. It started on November 12th, 1966. 5 gravediggers outside of Clendenin, West Virginia. I just ran past Clendenin.
West Virginian?
West Virginia.
How old were you in the 60s?
I wasn't born yet.
Oh, okay.
They were digging their grave, right?
They were digging their own graves. They just said, F it. They're like, I'm in West Virginia. I'm just kidding. I really enjoy West Virginia. A lot. Good hiking. But so they're digging their own graves. Go ahead.
They're digging graves, and they look up, and there's this line of trees, right?
Yes.
From this line of trees, they see a large humanoid figure that's flying come out from the tree line.
Okay.
They didn't get a picture.
No? They
No.
didn't have their cell phone on them?
No.
No reception.
But also, this was the first sighting of the Mothman. And this is what kicked off about a year of Mothman sightings. Before we get into more sightings, I want to talk about the TNT Factory.
Okay, there's a TNT Factory.
There's an abandoned TNT Factory.
Did they abandon? Is it abandoned by people or is it abandoned by TNT? Is there still TNT in there?
I would assume they cleared it out.
Okay.
But
there's
maybe
like,
not.
let's just not come to work ever again. And so there's just a random warehouse just full of TNT.
So this TNT Factory, it was central to the Mothman sightings. He was spotted there multiple times because it was kind of used as like a lover's lane. People would go there to like make out or hook up.
Waiting for the big explosion.
Oh no, that's gross. I couldn't find this source. I heard this one story. I don't remember the source from it. It was one sighting where there was this couple that was cheating on their significant others, right? Like the man was cheating on his wife and the woman was cheating on her husband.
If this was a movie, they would get their comeuppance.
They kind of do, in a way, because the Mothman appears, right? And they're in the middle of the act. And
sorry, my mind's going somewhere else.
okay. So Mothman sees them, and the story that Mothman's eyes glow because they radiate gamma energy.
Like gamma rays?
Yeah. And that is what gives people sunburns. They were burned, like, from head to toe, like, even their genitalias, because they were naked when Mothman saw them.
Okay, so they went to authorities or whoever, and they left that situation completely sunburnt.
Yeah, head to toe. Like, they were hesitant to tell the doctor what was going on because they were cheating, but they did.
What if they went to like a nude beach and then they fell asleep and they got burned and they just thought that was so embarrassing that they were like, let's just, you know, people are talking about in the news on MySpace about this Mothman. Let's just jump in on that.
In West Virginia?
Yeah.
In the 60s?
Well, there's no sun. There's no beaches. Are there beaches in West Virginia?
No.
Lake beaches. Rocky lake beaches.
I don't think so.
And moonshine.
Definitely moonshine. Maybe they just got really drunk and passed out. So that is one story I don't have source, but I know I heard that from other places.
It's a rumor. Rumor on the interweb.
So what about this TNT? Let's talk about it for a second. What about this TNT Factory might have made it so appealing for Mothman to like hang out there?
I have a guess, but I'm going to let you do your thing.
I want to hear your guess.
I feel like similar with the bridge that he is kind of like the foreshadowing. Like my joke, well, I was laughing when you were talking about the cheating couple because it's like his foreshadowing for them is like he has their child support papers. So it's like, so my guess would be, and I don't know this, but I imagine him being around the TNT Factory is foreshadowing that something bad's going to happen there. Similar to the bridge, he was around it, it collapsed. He's around this TNT Factory. Maybe it exploded.
That would make sense, but nothing ever happened around the TNT. It's still there.
Oh, good. That's much better than what I was thinking.
It's actually a tourist attraction. Like the other story I have that cited him that happened at the TNT Factory, I cited from road tripping. So
what is that?
It's a tourist attraction place.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, like you were saying, there's a statue, right,
yes,
of Mothman. So this is just like a scenic, like, go here, because apparently he was here.
Yes.
He took a dump in the back of the TNT warehouse. Nobody's cleaned it up.
And I was thinking, what else could have made him want to be there? Like, it was kind of out of the way, so maybe it's just a place for him to crash his head for a year.
Take a dump,
if you will. But it was maybe a place of that. Or maybe it was something to do with a place where he could store, like, a ship.
A ship?
Yeah, a ship.
Okay, so, okay. I'm following you here. Let's go.
Or maybe the glycerine in the TNT, maybe there was still a fair amount of that left.
It's a fair amount of what?
Glycerine.
What
it's
is
the
that?
stuff that makes dynamite go boom.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, there you go. I think that maybe there could have been like a store of glycerin that was left after it was abandoned. Maybe he found that. Maybe he used that for something. Maybe that's what he ate. You don't know.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So there's no real connection to him or this factory.
It's just where he's seen a lot. I feel like maybe it's the closest thing to a lair he had.
Okay. It was his hangout.
Yeah, it was like his chill pad. Like, you're like, come on over, Charlie. Come on, let's go chill in my office. It's the chill pad.
He's got like that one poster up of like that sports, like she's in a bikini, you know, she has some car behind her. You don't know what car
But you
it is.
taped over like a National Geographic moth face on it?
Yes. It just has all the lights on in there. They love lights.
So, okay, this other setting I have is...
Are there more TNT sightings?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is another TNT sighting.
Got you.
This is the last one I have, but just keep in mind, there are like dozens of sightings. They're mostly end the same way this one does, but there's a bunch of sightings before the actual event.
Okay.
We're in a car. It's 1966, December, a year away from the collapse.
So the collapse was in 67?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's two couples in a car. They're together. They're married. They're just real good friends. Not swinging, I don't think. They're hanging out. I don't, maybe. So they're hanging out in this car, and they're making out.
Both couples at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, weird activity, but whatever.
60s were a fun time.
I know, right? The names are Roger and Linda Shearberry and Steve and Mary Maletti.
I like how you threw the last names in too.
Well, I thought I should put them on blast.
Okay. Yeah, let's find their grandkids and just make fun of them.
I know. Yeah, your parents saw the Mothman. So they saw the Mothman. They're outside the TNT Factory. Mothman lands, right? He looks at them, and they also feel that sunburn feeling too. They get that sunburn gamma radiation.
Which one of them is the freaks that make out with their eyes open that saw them coming?
I don't think any of them. They probably heard him land, actually.
Oh, did he land on the car?
No, it was next to the car, but still.
Okay.
So what happens is, I don't know who's driving. He takes off. He goes down the highway, and they're going about like 65 miles an hour, maybe faster. It's the country, I don't know. So he's going pretty fast down the highway. And he looks in the rearview mirror. They all look behind him. He is being chased by the Mothman, who is flying after them. They go a couple miles down the road, and then Mothman all of a sudden veers off into the cornfield. And they escape, and they report to authorities.
Man, still sounds like Jeepers Creepers to me. Like, how does this work in this town? Like, is it a big town? Is it a small town? Like there's no social media. Is it newspapers are picking this up? Is it people talking to each other? Like, how is this kind of culminating in this small town?
It's people reporting it to newspapers. That's how John Keel got investigated.
Who's that?
John Keel, the guy from Mothman Prophecies. He's a real person.
Oh, okay. Is that Richard Gere?
Yes.
Ha, sweet.
So John Keel, he hears reports of this stuff, and he comes down, and he starts investigating. He's, like, going to department heads, and he's, like, asking questions, like, what's going on here? People are seeing things. What's going on?
Do the cops buy it?
No, authorities do not buy it, but there are two firefighters that report seeing, quote-unquote, a large bird with red eyes.
See, that's why people go with the firefighters.
Yeah. Well, I feel like they wanted to report something, but also not seem crazy.
Firefighters are like the people's cops. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like you can get drunk with them and talk about your real dad and then talk about how great he was and then find out he did drugs at a party.
Yeah.
I'm talking about King of Staten Island.
Yeah, Pete Davidson.
you know, they thought it was Mothman. They just couldn't say it.
Yeah. They're like, it's a bird with red eyes. Kind of look like, not like a butterfly, like that other thing. You know what I'm talking about.
Like I said, there are lots of reports before the bridge collapses. In the city of Salem, West Virginia, Newell Portridge reported seeing patterns on his TV screen that started as static and then transformed into the shape of Mothman. And when he shined his flashlight outside to see what was going on, he saw a silhouette of a man with red eyes. Now,
that's creepy.
It is creepy, but that sighting only gets any kind of credit because it ends with his dogs being outside and them not coming back the next day.
What? Yeah. Mothman took the dogs?
Yes.
Oh, see, now we got a problem, Mothman. See, at first, I'm just thinking Salem, West Virginia's got a little paranormal envy with, like the real Salem. So they're just trying to make up shit to compete. But you start taking dogs away, now,
Yeah, it's terrible.
He took them to the TNT Factory and just treated them better.
I don't think so. I think Mothman probably ate him. On December 15th, Mothman was seen on top of the Silver Bridge on the Ohio side.
Is that why you claim him?
Yes, that's exactly why I claim him.
Right.
So it's cold. It's December. Holiday traffic, right? The bridge is packed. The cars on average weighed more in the 60s than they intended them to be in the 20s when they built the bridge.
Oh, so the bridge was built in the 20s.
The bridge was built in 1928.
Okay, so they weren't forward-thinking 40 years.
No, they were not. And they should have been. Well, how could you really?
Yeah, them horse and buggies in the 20s.
But they could have diverted more funds to fix the bridge before this tragedy happened. Now, I don't think Mothman made it happen. So imagine you're seeing this bridge. It's midday, right? There's traffic. And you start to see the bridge kind of like wave in the wind. And then all of a sudden you hear a snap. All the eye bars break on the bridge. So all the things holding the bridge together snap.
At the same time.
At the same time. And in that instant, the cars careen down the hill that's created from the snap bridge and plunge into the river.
Oh my god.
46 people died.
From drowning?
From drowning in the icy river.
Oh. And then he flew away? Or I guess when something like that happens, you're probably so hyper-focused.
No one was looking at Mothman after that.
Right.
Although he was seen on the bridge before that. But after the snap, no one saw.
Imagine being like, okay, there's always a barrier. There was one car that was one car away from falling in.
Yeah.
Imagine being that person.
Oh my god. No, you'd be like praying or crying or something.
Oh, hysterical. And it's just, I'm like, one, it'd be terrifying to be on it and feel it. But two, even just being an eyewitness, that would be absolutely terrifying. Just to see it wobble
absolutely.
and then collapse. And then you're like, how am I getting across this river?
I don't think you do anymore. Not that day. So what do you think Mothman actually is?
Jeepers creepers. No, what are my options? Give me multiple choice.
So there are a couple options. One is that he's just a cryptid, just came out of nowhere.
If you would have asked me beforehand without any type of information, I would probably lean cryptid.
Some people think that it was government made, that the TNT Factory was not really a TNT factory. It was indeed a military operation where they did experiments.
On moths.
On men.
They're like, I'm trying to enjoy my lights on my patio, and these sons of bitches just keep flooding it.
So no credence there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, nobody knows. It could be anything, right? Like there is no answer. Like, you don't have an answer, right?
No, I don't
you have a guess, I'm sure.
I have a guess.
But you don't have an answer.
No.
So it could be experimentations. It would just be like, what was the goal of the experiment? Even nasty scientists, like if you look at like Nazi scientists, even though they're despicable, you can still look at what they were trying to do. You might not agree with it.
Yeah.
But you can see what they were trying to do. For whatever people would have created Mothman in like a science lab, what was the goal? Because, I mean...
my guess would be a super soldier.
Maybe.
A soldier that can fly.
So if you were to...
in the dark.
If you were to combine a person with an animal, who was the dude in the back that was just like, oh, what about a moth? There's a couple people scared of moths, and they're tricky. You think they're butterflies, but they're not. And then there's hummingbird moths. Have you heard of that?
No.
They fly like hummingbirds, but they're freaking moths, man.
Oh, and that's terrible.
I actually don't mind moths.
I don't really either. But that's not the point. That's neither here nor there. There's also a theory that Mothman is a human from the future.
So that would then... we would have to jump on board with the idea that in the future, we have wings.
Yes.
Okay. I'm down with evolution. I don't see us growing wings unless our pinky fingers all of a sudden shift into our back and then sprout into wings.
It doesn't have to be a natural evolution.
So then what's your pitch for
I
it?
assume it'd be genetically modified humans. Kind of like experiments on people that would cause them to shift into a Mothman, except to be more futuristic.
And then only the Mothmen get to reproduce with the moth women.
Yeah, and then go back in time.
Yeah. And be like, hey, this bridge is shit.
I mean, it also could be, my personal theory is that it's either an alien or another dimensional creature. They've come to, I don't know, wreak havoc.
So are you under the impression that the Mothman caused the bridge to collapse? Because obviously I'm not as well researched into Mothman, especially as you are right now. I was always under the impression that Mothman was kind of like a foreshadowing, like not necessarily like he couldn't. It's almost like which is kind of interesting that you're bringing up. It could be a human going to the past, because they always say like if you go to the past, you can't intervene. So what if he was trying to warn people? That's why I thought the TNT warehouse had exploded. Because my knowledge and my like remembrance of what Mothman was from movies and everything and what I've read, it seemed more like a foreboding. Like if he's around a certain area, you can expect something bad to happen here.
He's an omen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
He's a bad omen. So it felt like he was trying to warn people about the bridge. But it's interesting because even though that is a terrible tragedy, and I'm not really into weighing tragedies or comparing, contrasting, but it seems like there's many other things that he could have shown up at later in life since this bridge of 46 people, which is still 46 more than you ever want to hear get killed
But
in
it's
a
no
tragedy.
9/11.
Yeah, exactly.
Although he did just show up recently in Chicago. Within the past 10 years. People have claimed to seen him in Chicago.
I mean, there's a lot of gun violence in Chicago, but was there any... Has there been an event?
There's no event.
What, do you know what year it was?
2010.
Hmm.
It's very recent, and I remember seeing that article and not making sense to me why he would be there if he was an omen.
Dude, somebody saw him and he left a note, and they went over and they picked up the note and it was like crumpled, and then they opened it and it said 2016, bet on the Cubs. Which for us is a tragedy because we're Indians fans.
Is that when they won?
What?
Is that when they won the Cubs?
Yeah, that was when they beat us.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand the omen idea. I don't think he caused what to happen. I think it probably was an omen. But the alien makes sense to me if they could see what could have happened.
Yeah, I caught your hint when you were saying maybe his spaceship.
Yeah.
In the TNT Factory.
But did you know, while Mothman was being seen in Point Pleasant, there are also sightings of Men in Black.
No, I didn't see. Now that makes me think something's fishy, something alien-like.
Yes. So John Keel reported on other people being harassed by the Men in Black. To me, that speaks to something being covered up, either by interstellar beings or the government. Something did not want us to talk about Mothman. And I think that's why he's so prevalent, because it wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah. I wonder, an alien would kind of lend, like, let's pretend Chicago doesn't exist for a second.
Sure.
Like, that would kind of lend itself to why maybe we didn't see him anymore after the 60s. Maybe it's like, because there's all these other planets and universes and galaxies he could go to. Maybe he left. I mean, maybe he died. There's a lot of things that could have happened if you consider him an organic being. I don't know. Are there pictures of him? Like not like Slender Man, where it's a good looking picture, but it's not real. But like, are there pictures that people try to say, I caught the Mothman?
Yes.
What?
So this is the picture caught in 1966.
On a big ass camera.
Yeah, it was huge. It was the size of a telephone booth.
It was the car. It was the 4,000 pound.
This is on Snopes, but I'm sure we'll still post this.
Okay.
That is what they think. A man caught that. Like a man caught that picture. He still backs it. I read an article. He's like, I got that picture, and I still believe in Mothman.
I mean, yeah, it's striking.
All right, so really, I believe my personal theory is that Mothman came as an alien, as a warning, and he wasn't supposed to, and that's why the Men in Black followed.
A warning for the bridge?
Yeah. Why that small element of human history? I don't know. Like, it could have been many other things. Although, maybe there could have been things in the past that we just couldn't record.
So, where do you think he went?
Where'd he go?
Yeah.
After the bridge collapse, he just vanished. And where he went to, I have no clue. I have no idea what would have happened. People speculate on it, but
Are there any interesting speculations? Because it's just odd that it's like, for a whole year, he's so prevalent, and then all of a sudden, he's gone.
Yeah, people think he got captured, vanished, went back to his home.
Captured is an interesting one, because if they literally took him somewhere and like they've had him for years, we would have no way of knowing.
No, I know, we wouldn't know. But it's a weird thought. But I was like, how ironic would it be that he got captured right after that bridge collapse? That doesn't seem to make sense to me.
I don't know where you land on the scale, but what is there anything to this that you really grasp onto? That it's like, if your life depended on it and you had to convince somebody that this is 100% true, are there any details or anything where you kind of like just really buy it in any way, shape, or form?
The details, I think that picture is really interesting. I mean, that could have been some kind of Photoshop, I guess, but it's also the 60s. How easy was that back then? I don't think very. And also, the witnesses. There are multiple eyewitnesses that claim on their life that they saw this thing fly overhead, or chase them even, or give them gamma radiation.
Yeah, I mean, the detail that couple is like completely sunburned, and it's like, what does the town have to gain? Like, there might have been things happening back then that we don't know now that would make them want to propel this idea of something.
But like you said, like, What, are they embarrassed because they went sunbathing and got sunburned?
Well, not just them, but the whole town.
Well, I know, but I'm using your example. Like, it doesn't make sense to cover it up that way. Like, they were sunbathing. It doesn't make sense. What benefit would there be to lie about how you got sunburned on your whole body?
I mean, I guess it could just be the idea of conformity. If that's the hot topic in town and you want in on it, you know, everybody likes to have a story.
Oh, you want to be cool? like a cool school gang?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let me tell you how I got these burnt nuts. I don't know. I'm just saying, maybe not them specifically, but, you know, it's conformity. It's keeping up with the Joneses. It's like, if something interesting is happening in your town, some people might just want in on it. They don't want to be the person that didn't see Mothman.
I guess that's a fair point. There also is the argument that it is a type of bird called the sandhill crane.
The sandhill crane.
Yeah, do you want to see a picture?
Yes. It's like you just showed me the same exact photo that you just showed me. It's a little greeny.
Tyler, so what do you think about the sandhill crane?
No, I saw that thing while I was kayaking last week. It's a crane, dude. It's a bird. It doesn't look anything like what you just showed me.
They also have a wingspan of 10 feet.
Well, okay, that helps. Maybe West Virginia just got a little bit too much on their moonshine game.
Yeah.
That one year.
Yeah, and the bridge got drunk and crashed.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, we solved it.
Yes.
I don't know. It's interesting. And it's like we're not leading to an answer. It's still all speculation. If anybody tries to convince you that they know 100% what Mothman is, I mean, that's just BS, right?
Right. No. There are festivals and there's even a museum.
Yeah. I mean, see, that's kind of like if you can milk it for a profit, why not?
Yes. I part of me thinks they're just having fun with it. And part of me thinks someone's trying to live off this and it's just maybe you do something else.
What if the mayor of that town wanted to get it on the map, and so they staged it, and they didn't tell the community, so they did something, like maybe they gave somebody like a flying suit or something, and they just created it, it's fake, but only they know it, because they just wanted to get all this income. If you can get people how far across the country, and maybe even the world, do you think people travel to West Virginia to go to this museum? Probably
very far.
It's probably a great source of income for the town.
Yeah. Oh God. Could you imagine living with that secret?
How much are they paying? Because I can swallow some pride.
So what do you think? Do you think?
Man, I'll be honest. I'm somewhere between viable and skeptical. I don't not believe it because some of the stories are very interesting, and that picture is something. It doesn't just come across to me as completely unbelievable.
It's hard. It's hard because you weren't there, you know.
Yeah. And it's just gone. It's just like prevalent for a year. One little town. Apparently it made its way to Chicago. And then it's gone.
Yeah.
Man, I'm somewhere between skeptical and viable.
I want to go viable. Just because I think it actually was there. But where to go? I don't know. I believe. Viable.
You know what? The more broad it gets, the more I'm likely to go into viable. And it is so broad because it's like, I guess the more specific a story is, the more you can pick it apart. But when it's such a broad story, it could be an alien. It could be a person from the future coming back. It could be a cryptid. It could be something a scientist created in a lab. So, you know what? I never thought of it as something I didn't believe before, so why should I start now that we did this episode? So I'll say viable. I'll stick with you at viable.
Thank you for listening to our episode on Mothman. That was a lot to research.
It's a big topic. It's a big topic you took on. A lot of people wanted to hear about it, and I imagine a lot of the people that wanted to hear about it probably already knew a lot about it.
I think so too.
So maybe it's a rehash. But, I mean, more so than the story, I feel like the story is well known, or at least the bridge collapsing is well known. I think for me, it was fun discussing what it could be. Because that's where we're at right now. The facts are the facts. I mean, there's fun details. Like, people like hearing about sunburned bodies and stuff, because that's just a off-the-wall, fact. I think it's more interesting to talk about what it could be, because that's not a fact. That's up for discussion.
The speculation is definitely the fun part.
Yeah, and nobody knows, and it kills you a little on the inside, but it's also a little fun because mystery. What would a world without mystery be?
I don't think it would be any fun. But thank you again for speculating with us. And if you're having fun speculating, please leave a review.
Yeah, for the 5% of you that are listening not on Spotify, hit us up with one of those Apple reviews. We would appreciate it. Also, if you guys saw it on Monday, we dropped a Instagram post about some shirts we have. So if you're interested, check out our store and look at some Believing the Bizarre merch. If not, that's cool too. but if you're interested in that sort of thing, it's out there. So thank you for listening, and until then, join us on our next episode of Believing the Bizarre.